This video is brought to you by, just kidding, there's no sponsors on this channel. But if you want to check the end of the year bundle pack that I have, which is basically a bundle of everything that I have worked on and put together from last year and the year before, make sure to check the link in the description. Welcome back to a new video here in SUALVI. In this video, we're gonna talk about sort of like a screen pump effect or like a little camera shake with the Spline, because the camera shake node does have that value that you can play around with. You can use these on an adjustment layer, so then you can move around, use it as a transition, or just use it as an actual effect. You just gotta save it simply by using the powerbins. So let's jump into the computer and let me just quickly show you how you can build these and then how you can play around with the different settings to obtain a really cool effect that you can use on music videos, or pretty much any video that has like really hype music. I would say will be a cool effect to use on.
Okay, so we have our clip set up right here, and you'll see this audio waveform, which is the song that I'm using. And if you want to use it to the beat, you want to use a marker, then you can easily adjust the position of your clips, so that then when you put the adjustment layer, it works like seamlessly with the actual like bass drop or whatever beat that you want to use this effect on, because that's how you would sort of combine it. So I have the markers here, and to add a marker you can simply go here and press any of these, or you can just, while this is selected, if you press M, it will add a marker. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do is you want to add an adjustment layer, and for that we're gonna go to the effects and then here adjustment clip. One thing that you will notice is, and I will show you in a second. Now if we press the Fusion tab right here to go into that adjustment layer and open it in Fusion, you're gonna see something that's sort of like a bit odd, which is all these huge numbers right here. And that is sort of like, it's not really that, for me at least, I don't really like it to use it that way. So in order to fix that, you will simply just drag your adjustment layer into your media or like a folder here, and you can rename these, like press F2 and then screen pump, well, screen pump I guess, and then we'll just drag these to the side. We actually can just get rid of that and not use it. And when we bring this in, and when we bring these back into our timeline, you will see that if we open these again in Fusion, it will open with like a normal, like the length of the actual thing. So right now it's like 29 frames. I want it to be 24, but I guess I missed by a few frames. So we can just go back and go to the beginning, and since this is a 24 frames per second timeline, we can just press shift into the side and then just get rid of the rest, and then we can just like try to make sure to make it be in the middle right there. Okay, so we're gonna go and build it right now after all that previous or base setup and little bit of information that you could find it useful. And the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna press Ctrl M, and then we're gonna press duplicate. The reason for me using a duplicate is because I like that sort of like a little shadow effect that happens. And then when we use these and add an offset here, it's sort of like a time offset. I would do like -1 probably. I think that should be good enough. And then we can just like change the blending mode, because then if you move these, you will see that it does have that little like thing. There's like a shadow right there. Okay, and we're gonna add, like, you can add as many copies as you want. I'm gonna use 3 for the sake of these, and you can also like play with the RGB stuff if you want. For example, if I take the green out here, you'll see that it adds a little bit sort of like an RGB effect to that too. We're gonna leave these like that, and then after that we're gonna press Ctrl M again, and we're gonna add a camera shake effect. And for this camera shake, what we're gonna do is we're gonna adjust the blending modes. So we're gonna create a keyframe right here on 12, and then we're gonna go to 4. I'm not gonna use, we could do 0 and 24 if you want, but I like to use it, well, let's do 3 actually. And at 3 it's gonna be at 0, and then at, what is it, 21 I guess, it's gonna go back to 0, so it's gonna go back to normal. So if we go like around, it sort of like activates, and it has that weird effect. So now we have the base of our effect, and here in these settings is what you could play around with. The pan and all that stuff, you simply just move these and like play around with it to see what you want to do. And the zoom amplitude is what will add that little bit sort of like a scream like a zoom, like a little like pump, that little pump, and mixing it with the shake that's happening from the motion scale and the motion blur. You can play around with so many settings here that you can create countless effects and like different things. So I would just like change the pause interval and just like random stuff basically to see what you like and what you find cooler. After you've played around with all these settings, and you can probably play around with these for hours, you want to go to the spline tool, and then in the camera shake I want to use and press F, and then we're gonna press T. We can ease in these a little bit more, and then the same thing for the ease out. And if we want to make it a little bit more dramatic, if you grab this arrow right here and then also the same one but holding Control, you're able to sort of like individually change the angle of them, right? And then the last thing that you want to do is you're gonna go to settings and use the motion blur, and then we're gonna take the shadow angle down and increase the quality to 4. The higher the quality, the better it's gonna look, but it's also gonna take a bigger like resources from your computer. So if you don't have a lot of like GPU power or RAM, then you might want to keep it sort of like between 4 and 6, and that should be fine. So I didn't like that this spline was a little bit too like took a little bit too long, so I'm gonna move these arrows back again a little bit and open them like that. And one thing I'm gonna also do is I'm gonna go here to the jitter, and in here what you could do is you can change the center, like the position of these. So if we go and like change these from like use the same keyframes, so here at 0, and then we're gonna go to 12 and then move these a little bit to the side. Oops, not the axis but like this center position like that. It sells the effect a little bit even more, like it adds an extra touch to it, right? And what we're also gonna do for these is we're gonna go to the spline tool and we're gonna press Ctrl A to select everything, and then press F, so it's gonna be a little bit smoother. You can press T and play around with the ease in and out options if you want, but I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. If you go to the duplicate and add a motion, the reason why we're not gonna add a motion blur, actually previously I added this motion blur, but then I realized that this motion blur actually deactivates that sort of like copies and ghost effect that happens. So we're gonna keep this one deactivated on the duplicate node so that we are actually able to see this weird little ghost effect that we have happening here, right? So then after that our effect is pretty much done. We can go back and we can preview it and then see if we like it. If we don't like it, we can go back in and always make changes. Okay, and that is what that looks like, and you'll see that here it activates at the same time that the actual sort of beat is happening. And what you want to do is, if you want to do it sharper, then you will just adjust the curve or the actual values to be higher when the actual pump is happening. And you don't have to use these as a transition only. You can use these in the middle of a clip too, since it's an adjustment layer. And we can just bring this back here, which is the saved one, because we worked on here, and we will just rename this effect. And if you want to use these in another project, you can simply go to your master bin here, and I already have way too many things here, but let me create a new folder. We're gonna go into this bin right here, and we can just like simply drag these to this bin. So now then you can add these effects to any video that you have on this database. If you have a different database, then you will have to open the same project in that database to be able to actually use the same thing. It's sort of similar how the Thea transitions pack work. Actually, they are all made in adjustment layers, and that's what I did them. So then like I could just drag these and then it will do that. But these are all like transition focus, right? I did this earlier this year. And one thing you gotta keep in mind is that when you use something and you add it from your power bins, it's gonna add a copy here on your media bin. So after you add a bunch of things, you might want to go back here into your media folder or like do your media pool and create a bin specifically where you would put all the effects that you're using from your power bin, like power bin stuff. So that way you keep your media pool organized and like keep only the clips you're using here, and then like more organized stuff, basically. So that is pretty much it.
So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you find these helpful. And if you enjoyed this video, once again, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe if you want to be notified with the new videos that I try to upload at least maybe twice a week. But without further ado, I just want to say thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video here in SUALVI. Bye.